What is up? Welcome to the N1 Fitness podcast. Today we are chatting about self-talk. This is something that I focus on a lot with specific clientele of mine that can potentially benefit from some perspective shifters in regards to their thought patterns and as a downstream byproduct, their fat loss and health progress. Taking a closer look at our self-talk is really powerful because one, it's an amazing reflection of how we are currently thinking, being that we think in words, and two, because we can then modify our self-talk and use said modifications to change our experience and the outcomes in our lives. And if you want to lose fat and get healthier, this will absolutely help you achieve that. Especially because when we become more aware of our language, it makes it really easy to identify our priorities as well as when and where we are giving our power away. For example, oftentimes folks will say things like, I hope I eat healthfully this week, or I hope I lose weight, or I'll try to hit my 10,000 steps per day, or I'll aim to get to bed on time. Hope can be great, but when we're after a specific outcome that is in our control, hope doesn't apply. So in the case of, I hope I eat healthfully this week, this statement essentially doesn't even make sense because hope implies that we don't control what we eat, which we obviously all do. And so I hope that it's warm and sunny tomorrow, being that I can't control the weather. And I try new recipes to see if I like them, but I don't hope that I eat healthfully and lose fat. I either choose to eat healthfully and make progress, or I choose not to, and I don't make progress. Meaning, applying hope to areas of our lives that are in our control is a prime example of giving our power away. Now, if someone is hoping in situations where they do have control simply because that thing is not a priority of theirs, we're not talking to that person because that thing is not important to them, which is totally fine, of course, to each their own. But I'm talking to you, the person that truly wants the outcome that you say that you want. Now, let's say that you're making plans with a friend and you're like, let's do Friday at 7 p.m. at X restaurant. And your friend replies with, great, I hope to be there. Or, cool, I'll try to make it. You'd be like, okay, so are you coming? Like, what's going on here? This is what we do with ourselves when we use language like hope, try, aim to, etc. in regards to things that we can control. There are so many things that we can't control, but fortunately, our body composition is not one of them. So how I would recommend adjusting self-talk, thought patterns, and more specifically language around this stuff is via the following. Instead of saying, I hope that I eat healthfully this week, we can modify that to say, I will eat healthfully this week. And this next piece is super important. Be specific in regards to the how, because it is not enough to just say, I will eat healthfully this week, because we need to define what exactly that means to you. For example, I will eat healthfully this week by doing some food prep on Wednesday and Sunday and making 90% of my meals at home. Boom. It's clear, it's actionable, we know exactly what to do and what constitutes success. How much more powerful is that than I'll try to eat healthy? Like, we all know that doesn't mean much. The kicker here, and why so many folks have resistance around clear and concise commitments like this, is because it holds their feet to the fire. right? They said X, and so assuming that they are their word, now they are committed to X. And so it's important that we put forethought into what we say that we are going to do for a few reasons. One, if we just say stuff for the sake of saying it, we begin to degrade our word. And when our word doesn't hold any weight, that's no bueno. Because when that happens, we can't even trust ourselves. And two, we want to set ourselves up for success. And so this implies that we implement realistic and practical actions that we are willing to follow through on. Now, self-talk can be difficult to keep track of just because it is literally happening all of our waking hours. And so being that that's the case, there's no need to feel overwhelmed. We don't need to change all of our thought patterns overnight. Not that that's even possible. This stuff takes time, and that is perfectly okay. I've been working on my self-talk and awareness around my thought patterns and language for literally decades, and I still have so far to go. There are layers upon layers to uncover. It's sort of like an onion that never ends. But that's actually what keeps life so interesting, fun, and engaging. There is always room for improvement, growth, and change. Okay, so where do we start? Step number one is awareness. Because if you are not paying attention to your self-talk via your thought patterns and language, you can't change shit. Step number two is when you catch yourself thinking or speaking in ways that aren't serving you and what you ultimately want, awesome, you nailed the awareness piece. And now you simply shift that thought and or sentence to something that does serve you and what you do ultimately want. Step number three is just to be your word and take action. That's it. This is super simple and straightforward stuff. It is not easy. It is far from easy, but fortunately it is simple and straightforward. If you find yourself thinking of excuses, buts, becauses, or anything that gives your power away in a situation where you have it, hop back on the ownership train right away. Now, if someone is slipping into excuses, buts, and becauses nonstop and they are aware of them, well, then that thing is just not a priority. And again, that's okay. The beautiful thing about priorities is that they're yours and only yours. There are no shoulds or shouldn'ts or rights or wrongs. It is simply a matter of what you want most. That is it. And that is 100% your decision to make. And if you find that you're not quite ready to implement the changes necessary to, say, lose fat and get healthier, park that goal for a bit and you can always return to it later. It is not going anywhere. On the other hand, if you know that this is something that you want, do your best not to get discouraged, because you will find yourself slipping into old thought patterns, not a few times, not 100 times, thousands of times. If I could quantify how often I've had thought patterns that didn't serve me after truly deciding that I want the change that I'm after, man, I can't even count that high. So be patient with yourself. Also, this is like anything in the sense that the more that we practice this stuff, the better that we get at it, which is super encouraging. It does take a lot of effort, I will not lie. However, in my opinion, it's worth it because as these new thought patterns and ways of being begin to become habitual, then it's easy. Just as easy as the old thought patterns are now. Meaning, getting the ball rolling in the right direction is tough. But once we have a whole bunch of momentum behind us, it is like a rock rolling downhill. Now, here are a few things that have supported my clients in shifting their self-talk as well as myself. And they are: 1, writing. I have found journaling to be an awesome tool as far as identifying old thought patterns that aren't serving me anymore and developing new ones. Journaling is awesome for a whole bunch of reasons. This is just one of them. 2, eating a more nutritious diet. The better your brain is functioning and the more energy that you have, the easier this process is going to be. 3, movement. Getting your 10,000 steps in per day is great for physical health, but it's also super underrated for mental and emotional health. Walking is the perfect place to practice step number 1, which is increasing your awareness. 4, sleep. Like I mentioned, this is a difficult process. Personal growth is fucking hard, but it's a lot less hard when you are well rested and feeling alert via getting great sleep. No one is the best version of themselves after sleeping poorly. And lastly, you can use this process in any area of your life. I use it in regards to limiting beliefs and thought patterns in my business, family dynamics, friendships, romantic relationships. There is no limit to this. Cultivate awareness, identify thought patterns and language that no longer serve you, shift them, and implement. You can rinse and repeat your way to legitimate change via this process. And again, be patient with yourself. We have thousands upon thousands of thoughts every single day. And so these shifts are going to take some time. Just like fat loss, no one gets fat overnight and no one gets lean overnight. The formula is consistent action over time. If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. On Instagram, I'm at n1fitness. On TikTok, I'm at the n1fitness. And on YouTube, I am at Marcus Sadu /n1fitness. Feel free to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform if you feel inclined. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this episode useful, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.